Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to all this morning. I am your host Hajra Satti and I am in Islamabad and it is raining here like crazy. So the roads are very clogged here and it's a good thing that we are having that rain because for quite few days I have been feeling that we were transitioning into the spring season. I really did not want the spring season to happen so fast and that too in the February, and that is not the mid of the February as of yet. But I feel and I just feel that these are the part of the climatic conditions and these are the part of the climate change and how Islamabad has been witnessing these change and transition in the temperatures. Because I was having this conversation with my mother and my father and they were telling me, because they were born here and they claim Islamabad a lot as their own city, and they used to say that in April we used to wear very warm coats to our schools because it was that much cold. But now we have seen that how all of these climatic traditions and climatic conditions are changing, and we have witnessed that how in the April, I think 2 years back, we have seen that since it was also Ramadan, so how hot it was and temperatures were soaring as high as to 50 degrees centigrade, and that was particularly worrisome for us as a country as Pakistan, because Pakistan is a country that has has almost minus or no contribution towards these climatic traditions, towards these climatic patterns, but yet we have seen that we are facing the brunt of all of these changes. And obviously there has been lots of conversations globally and it is one of the ticking point where humanity needs to cooperate, especially on the climatic conditions. But again, as the rain is happening in Islamabad and we feel that the weather conditions are getting pleasant, it's very cold outside and we are wearing our sweaters again, because few days back there was this particular pertinent very need of ours that we were wearing some lighter clothes and lighter sweaters because the weather was getting very pleasant, and especially in the afternoon you will find that the heat was very intense. But then again, Islamabad is very beautiful, especially after the fresh showers. Islamabad gets very cleaner, and you can have a very amazing sort of a view, especially if you are coming from a very far off from the expressway. You can have a very amazing view of the Faisal Mosque, which is one of the defining feature or the landmark, I would say, of Islamabad. But yes, according to the Met Office, we will have the rainfall, I think, till today, especially late at night, and we might have some cloudy weather tomorrow, but we will see that how the situation unfolds. And obviously since Islamabad is just located at the outside of the outskirts of the Murray, which is also known as the Malika-e-Kausar or the Queen of Kausar, and Murray is also receiving the snowfall of this season. And as of yet in Pakistan, I think in the entire country we have received snowfall very late, especially with I think it was after the January, mid of the January, that we started receiving the snowfall and the the rainfall, and I think it's a very good sign for especially the agrarian society or the agrarian areas of the Pakistan, which are producing the crops, which are producing the food basket of the country, particularly because this is the ideal weather. It's sort of an ideal temperature which our crops require to have a good growth and good nutrition. And this year we have seen that Pakistan has produced some very amazing oranges, because every time you go out you will find that there are very bright colored oranges on the vendors, on the carts there. But again, it's amazing, and you can see the visuals of the snowfall happening on the Murray, and especially so the local economy of the Murray particularly gets a boost whenever there is a snowfall, because lots of people flock to Murray to witness the snow. And again, it's a beautiful phenomenon of the nature, and if you want to witness that, so you can go, but make sure that you have all the precautionary measures, because we have seen that how there was an outburst of the tourist inflow towards the Murray and how the things started getting out of the control. But this year the authorities are very particularly pertinent and careful about dealing the situation out there, and they're making sure that the people or the tourists that are going there, number one, they are well catered to, and number two, the entire local institutions, the authorities are on the alert there, so that that situation is not repeated again. And I think this is the part of the good governance. This is the part of the, I would say, precautionary measures, that if you want to make sure that the situation does not happen again, you take the precautionary measures and you make sure that you learn from the past incidences. And this is a very, very good thing. But now let's again talk about the climatic conditions, and let's talk about how this entire climate change is gripping the Pakistan. And this is a very worrisome development, especially in a country like Pakistan, because we are an agrarian country, and our 60%, I guess, of the income that comes from the agriculture. And obviously, again, we have seen that because of this rainfall, people are getting late because there's a lots of the arteries are clogged, there's lots of rush. And I just feel that Islamabad is the best city to live in because it has a very well-defined features when it comes to that, the urban planning. And whenever there is a rain out there, it calls for the pakoras and samosas and a cup of tea, whatnot. But we are also going to treat our guests with that, obviously, after this program. But now we want to have a conversation on a very important topic, because this is a topic that deals with the physical representation of us and also deals with the personality grooming. It is an important aspect of it, how to dress up, right? And obviously, I'm not saying that your dressing defines your entire personality. This is a very overstatement. It's not a nuanced statement at all, but generally it does leave an impact. So what sort of a dressing are you having, and what sort of characteristics or aesthetically advanced are you when it comes to your dressing? So we are very glad that we have been joined by someone who happens to be pardon, an image consultant from the New York. He happens to be Hamid Saeed Saab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show. So, sir, I'm really sorry, I have some sore throat.
No problem.
So, obviously, you are image consultant and you've been grooming people in New York and in Pakistan. What are some of the contrast? How do you compare the two cultures in Pakistan and in New York?
Well, you know, the biggest difference is that professional people over here take dressing very seriously. I mean, there's a notion that Americans are carefree and they like to wear jeans, they like to wear T-shirts and all that. But when it comes to their professional life, for example, Wall Street areas, that New York is known for financial capital of the world, and as well as the fashion capital of the world. So people are very particular about when it comes to professional dressing. In Pakistan, I would say that some people, they're concerned about that, but many people don't have much thought when it comes to dressing professionally.
Right. But obviously, we've seen especially when we talk about the professional settings, right? So what are some of the do's and don'ts, particularly in our culture, that you would define? Obviously, in America, it's different because their culture is different. They're more open and liberal society as compared to Pakistan. We are more of a very, I would say, a traditional society in a sense, right? And obviously, that reflects in our professional cultures, in our organizational cultures. So what are some of the do's and don'ts, and particularly the mistakes that you see are repeating in our organizational culture?
First of all, as far as the concept is concerned, that how professional people should dress, it's universally the same.
Okay.
And the main thing is the nonverbal communication. What do you say without saying a word about yourself?
Right.
So as soon as you enter into a meeting, the first impression. So there are a few things that you should be very careful about. How to create that image. Number one, you got to look successful.
Right.
So if you don't look successful, I mean, obviously it's going to deal with unsuccessful person and all that. And the second thing is you must look confident.
Right.
And the confidence is extremely important regardless of what situation you are in a business meeting or whatever that you're doing. And confidence comes from two things. One is that it comes from your expertise, your core competency, your grip on your content. The other thing which comes from is how you present yourself.
Right.
And at the same time, you should also look trustworthy and credible. And the last thing I would say is that you must project authority so that people will listen to you. So these are the things that I would say that professional people should do that. And now the as far as there are some mistakes that people make here is number one is that it's usually the accessories, how to combine them. Many people don't combine the shoes with the right belt. It's like a wrong color. Usually it should match, black belt, black shoes.
Right.
Then also is what button to wear when you are, let's say, wearing a jacket or suit. it's the top button. As many people, they wear, they close both buttons, and that's a fashion mistake. If I always say that, I'm a fashion police. If I issue citation, I would probably be, a millionaire here. And then also, if you're wearing very tight clothing, that's not appropriate. If you're wearing too loose, that's not appropriate. So there are so many mistakes that people are making.
Right, and Hamid Saab, we've seen this propensity, especially among the millennials here, and they're the generation that they're not very, I would say, particular about their dressing because they want to feel comfortable, so they are more comfortable wearing joggers and jeans, and then they are coming to their offices. Obviously, they are delivering, obviously, they are creative, but they want to have their own space, and they have their own definition of the comfortness that have developed, which might not collaborate with the, I would say, the baby boomers generation, because they want to be more suited, booted, and they feel that that represents a more, I would say, a more professional or a formal sort of a look, right? So do you feel with this thinking of the millennials, because obviously they are the younger people, they are working, and they're, especially in Pakistan, we've seen that they are 60% of the younger population. So do you feel that there's a shift in the change of, I would say, personal grooming, or I mean the dressing sense in particular, because millennials do not are not conforming to this, the older traditional standards of dressing codes,
right? You're absolutely right. There's more like casual dressing is more like common, and especially in extremely young people and all that. But something, let's say, for example, you're a banker, right? And if you will come, to work or whatever in your joggers and very casual clothes, I don't think it's going to work. I'll give you an example. I went to a company in Karachi about a few months ago, and there was a gentleman, it was Saturday, and it was a real estate company. And he was very nicely dressed, but casually dressed. He was wearing a very nice shirt and very nice pants and all that. And he asked me, he says, so how do you rate me? I said, you dressed excellently, but you are not dressed properly. Appropriately. And he said, what do you mean by that? And he said, today's Saturday and I'm here, and I want to be casual and this and that whole bit. I said, but let me ask you this, are you doing business today? So he said, yes. So I said, this look that you have is an excellent look, but maybe for a country club, or maybe for going out, maybe for golf and all that, but not for a proper conducting business. So that's the point. The problem with casual is like, you show that you're very casual, it's like casual attitude, and it's like, so why, if somebody is showing themselves very casual, why should people take them seriously? So I would say that the strongest garment that you could wear, which could give you authority, is at least with a jacket. So you can wear casual, like you can have a casual shirt and then you have a casual pant and all that. But if you wear with a jacket is the only garment which gives you authority. And so this way you can pull it off.
Right. So since you talked about banker and your experience where, I mean, dressing does exert or exude some sort of authority, right? Because I remember when I was talking to a banker, and he said that they wanted to increase their clientele base, particularly in the rural areas. And so they had the particular instructions from their head offices where they were asked to, you need to wear shalwar kameez and then the basket on at the top with the Peshawari chappal, because they wanted to develop a trust with the local community out there, and mostly they were farmers, because if someone was going very suited, booted, I mean, they might not feel very comfortable having that bonding. So let's explore the intersectionality of the trust and the way you dress up. Do you feel the way we dress up has something to do with how people perceive us, and then the sort of the trust that they develop? And do you feel that it is always a good thing that if someone is nicely dressed, that you start trusting them?
Well, we just start at the start, I just said that there are certain messages that you need to give, and how do you give those messages? I mean, you cannot go into a meeting and say, I'm a very successful person. You cannot go into a meeting, I'm a very confident person. You cannot go into a meeting and say, I have authority. So how are you going to communicate this? So those messages must be communicated through your attire, through your personality, through your aura. So let's talk about this cultural part, like, if you are in a remote area, if you are in a village and all that, and or work there in a bank or something like that. I would say that nothing wrong with wearing shalwar kameez. If shalwar kameez is your, you feel comfortable in that. But the point of the matter is that how to wear shalwar kameez. Unfortunately, some people wear shalwar kameez. They say, I'll sleep in it, and then I'll get up in it,
Right.
and then I'll put some perfume and this and that, wash my face and go and attend a meeting. That shalwar kameez is not going to work. So
Right.
basically, like you said, you wear shalwar kameez, and then you put a jacket on, or you put a waistcoat on, and also you gotta take care of the fitting. I mean, it's not like they say in Pakistan that everything is hidden in shalwar kameez, all the weight and everything. So it should be nice fitting, the nice fabric,
Right.
and with the right shoes. A lot of people make that mistake.
True.
They wear wrong shoes with shalwar kameez.
Right.
Peshawari chappal is one. There are certain loafers that go with it. So I think that if you take care of that, you can make shalwar kameez a power outfit just like a two-piece suit.
Right, right. And if you want to particularly comment on the shoes, because you raised a very interesting point, right? So sometimes shoes are not, matching with the
Right.
attire that you're wearing, be it the shalwar kameez or be it, and I think particularly this problem is very pointable or very noticeable among the men, right? And especially if the socks are matching with the tie or not. So I mean, as a man, what sort of advice would you dole out to particularly people who want to groom themselves?
Yes.
And what are some of the common mistakes that
Right.
you find when it comes to wrong dressing and having the wrong sort
Wrong
of matching?
shoes.
Yes.
The first of all, you can ruin your outfit by wearing wrong shoes. So let's say, for example, you are wearing a two-piece suit like I am. When you wear
And
a
please also comment on the color combination.
yes, I will. So two-piece suit, you must wear lace-up shoes. With that. That's called and the shape should be Oxford shoe. That should not be too pointy and not too broad.
Right.
OXFORD. If you look for that,
Right.
you will find the right shape and everything. So for two-piece suit, they're essential. Now, should you wear brown shoes or should you wear black shoes? I would opt for black shoes, because every time you wear brown shoes, when you meet somebody, your eye go to the brown shoes.
Yes.
Because the eye will go there because of different color. And so the best way to match is socks and shoes. They should match the same color.
Okay.
Or the pant, you could make the socks could be a little bit darker than that. So this is with the two-piece suit. Now, when you're wearing with the casual jacket, let's say you're wearing a business casual,
Right.
and you are wearing a jacket and you're wearing a combination with dress pants and then some sort of shirt.
Right.
Then you can you can wear loafers.
Right.
But loafers also in Pakistan, I'm seeing them. They're too flashy. Some of them are too. Buckles are too loud and that sort of thing. I would tone it down. I would make it like the attention should be on you, not on your shoes.
Right.
I mean, so I would say that you can wear those kind of penny loafers are great. They're shoes with tassels. They look absolutely great.
Right.
So that you could wear that. And then, actually, right from finishing the show here, I have to go to the Judicial Academy in KP, Peshawar, and they asked me to make sure that I tell them that don't wear joggers with two-piece suit. I mean, some people have seen. I mean, it's a criminal offense, I would say, to wear joggers or sneakers with a two-piece suit. Now, when it comes to shalwar kameez, it gets very tricky. So what you should not do is don't wear sandals with it.
Okay.
Actually, sandals, I also, I do not suggest even for ladies to wear sandals in professional environment meetings, because attention goes to the shoes, and then attention goes to the, of the shoes, the feet pedicured or not, and, all different issues.
Right.
So I would say avoid sandals, and then, the best thing is Peshawari chappal. If you can wear that with that goes great with the shalwar kameez. Also, you can, as I said earlier, loafers, and the right loafers, not like too loud and not too flashy. A tassel shoes could go very nice if it's a dressy event.
Right.
But avoid very, very casual shoes, I would say.
Right. So now let's also discuss, because clothing is obviously, men also like to dress well, but clothing is something that is a very hot topic, especially
Yeah,
among the women
absolutely.
too, right?
Absolutely.
And it is the topic on which we bond a lot, and then we have these discussions in offices and in different settings. But now it's also, since it's the wedding season, and we've seen there are lots of weddings propping up, especially in Islamabad and in entire Pakistan. So what are, and obviously we've seen that there's a global inflation, not just in Pakistan, across the world. So what are some of the very cost-effective measures that you would recommend for someone who wants to go out and shop for a wedding, especially as a woman, because obviously the embroideries and all of the dabke ka kaam, it's very expensive nowadays, right? And then you want to manage it on the budget. So as an image consultant, what is your advice to women out there?
Well, you know, I mean, you can't tell too much to women, you know. First of all, in terms of, you know, wedding, I mean, you know, there are traditional aspects of wedding here in Pakistan. And I would say that those traditions, you know, people are going to keep them one way or the other. But, you know, the whole thing is in this is that, you know, instead of looking too loud and looking, you know, too much work and too much embroidery, too much that, I think that looking stylish is better, looking elegant is elegance, go towards more elegance, towards more classic, towards more timeless. You know, even a white gown or a black gown could really go a long way. You don't have to have lots and lots of things on it. So I would say that if you go towards like being more classic and timeless, that would be the best way to do it. And for a groom, you know, it's the same story. You know, many of the grooms are like, you know, they go to, you know, they go to these kind of stores, you know, small stores, and they ask them like what the bride is going to wear. And they say, oh, bride's going to wear a yellow dress, and then the groom is coming up with the yellow suit and the yellow shirt and the yellow tie and all that. I think that's not the way to go. So I would say keep it simple, keep it classic, but at the same time, you know, you're a groom, you should look like a groom. It's not like people are looking for grooms. So you can jazz it up a little bit with the tie in the pocket square and take an accent color. A lot of people make this mistake that they are matching, too much matching with the bride. And they actually, while doing that, they also kill their outfit, you know. So I would say that, you know, first you should look great, and then take accent color of what she's wearing and incorporate that into your tie and pocket square, and that would give you a great combination.
Right. So Hamid Sahab, we've seen, so since you're an image consultant, and I'm pretty sure that you're very well versed in your particular field of expertise, how would you define the fashion? Because I've seen a lot of people, they're tapping into what's trendy, right? And sometimes it does not suit what they are wearing, or it does not look good on what they are wearing, and they just have this I would say race or competition, or this concept that they want to look more trendy, or they want to look more fashionable, so they might not incorporate the element of comfort into that definition, right? So as an image consultant, for people out there who are looking for your advice, how do you define fashion sense?
You know, I always say that fashion is very important. I mean, you know, today we're working in a, you know, it's everything is state of the art. And I always say that, you know, you talk about state of the art things, you talk about where your company is going and the product is going and all that, but you look like from dinosaur age. So it's not going to work. So I would say that fashion is important. But the point here is that you mentioned, you know, how much fashion you should apply to yourself. So, for example, a new fashion comes in, and there are always different elements of fashion. Like, for example, maybe the collar is different, maybe the style is different, maybe it's too tight, maybe it's too loose. All kinds of fashion comes in. So what you have to see is that what's your body type? You know, what kind of fashion looks good on you? Because if the fashion is going to look good on you, then, you know, you might look like even sometimes people are applying too much fashion and they look kind of clownish, you know. So I would say that you should keep four things in mind. Number one, that you should keep your coloration, what's your eye color, hair color, skin tone, so that's the right element, because sometimes the color is the fashion. And that color may not be the best color for you. So I would say that you should know what your coloration is, and colors should be compatible. To whatever you're wearing should be compatible to your skin tone, eye color, hair color.
So if you have a fair skin tone, or if you have a more tannish skin tone, what sort of colors you would recommend? Well,
let me tell you this, what colors look good on Pakistani skin tone, whether you are male or female. There are only three skin tones and three coloration in Pakistan. Now, one is either you're dark, you know, or you're medium, or you're fair.
Okay.
And our eyes and hair are pretty much the same. They're black most of the time.
Of course.
So I would say that 4 colors are very, very good. They look extremely good on you. Black is excellent,
Oh,
you know.
yes. Oh, yes.
And for man or woman, doesn't matter. And the other color is the dark navy. Dark navy is a great color. It gives you power, but at the same time, it also gives you approachability. And black is all about power.
Right.
So if you want to look powerful, you want to look, you know, have a very power meeting. So then I would say, take out your black dress or take out your black suit. And the third color is charcoal gray. Charcoal gray is a great color. It's a professional color. And then come the medium gray. So these are the 4 colors. And for ladies, for women, they can incorporate red. Red is a power color as well.
Right.
And then for ladies, the deep purple is a great color. Pink is a great color. These are all beautiful colors that goes with the, you know, and on our skin tone and all that. And then for shirting, you can have light colors. You can have white. White is the best shirt, I would say, because white means trust me. White means credibility. White means decent. White means I'm a polished, refined guy.
Right.
And also it says that I'm peace-loving because
Yes.
the peace flag is
The
also
dove
white.
is white.
Exactly.
It's always
That's right.
associated, yes,
And
yes.
so I would say that if you want to say all these things about yourself, just wear a white shirt. But women, what they could do is they can incorporate white into what they dress. I mean, if they wear hijab or they wear dupatta,
Right.
you know, Benazir Bhutto, if you take her pictures,
Right,
she was wearing white dupatta most of the time. So you can incorporate those kind of messages through wearing, you know, white into that, or you can have white trimming, you know, with your dress. That will give you the same impact.
Okay. So, Hamid Saab, since you talked about and you developed this conversation on the colors of red and the deep purples, and we have seen this particular trend among our older generation, maybe our nannies and dadis and grandmothers, and they're very particular about not wearing very loud colors, right? Because they want to wear sober colors. They are mostly playing in the brownish palettes or the beige palettes because they feel that that is very pertinent to their age groups. So do you feel that that's a wiser concept, or you know, and we've also seen if someone, you know, who's crossed 50s or 60s, and if that person is wearing very loud colors, so start talking about it, you know, say, okay, putty godi lal, I mean, stuff like that. Obviously, it's not a good concept. But how would you comment on this entire?
First of all, I would say that it should be age appropriate. You know,
Right.
everything you wear should be age appropriate. But having said that, that doesn't mean that when you get a little older, you know, then you're, you know, out of life and everything. I think you should love life. You should fully enjoy your life.
Of course.
I have seen a lot of women and men both that who very, very nicely dressed throughout their careers and everything. When they retire or something like that, come to close to that age, they still look very graceful. They keep, they take care of yourself. True. But many of them don't. You know, they just, you know, kind of like, you know, like it's all over. So I would say that combining, you know, colors and combining, you know, you have more leeway when you are, you know, let's say you're retired, or you're, you know, elder age and all that. You have more leeway because now, you know, your profession has nothing to do with that. So you can enjoy more color combination and all that. But you mentioned browns, you know, and browns and tans and beiges. I must say this, that these are colors of white people, you know. It's not really, it does not suit our skin tone, you know, like I mentioned, Pakistani skin tone. You know, I always say that, you know, if you want to dress up a white woman or white male, you take autumn leaves, barrel of autumn leaves, throw them in there, and they are, you know, color-wise they are dressed. So all those colors which are in the autumn leaves, which are good for, like, I would say white people, are not good for us. For example, all the greens, you know, there are greens, there are you know, olives there, then green colors all there, and autumn leaves, they have all of browns and shades of browns, and they have tan, there are oranges, then they have rust, they have paprika. All those colors are good for white people and not for us. I mean, we can wear whatever the heck we want, but we're not going to look that great. So our color palette is like I described, you know, our color palette is more sharper, more brighter. And, you know, if we stick to that, then I think we're going to look great.
Right. Thank you so much, Ahmed Saab, for giving us such a wonderful advices. And obviously, all of these color palettes. And I think generally you need to, because everyone has a very unique personality, and everyone needs to stick around to what suits them, what does not suit them. So it does not matter that if someone is wearing will always look good on you, right? So you need to be very pertinent and careful about the decisions you make, because whatever you wear it reflects on your personality, not just your socio-economic status as in that sense, but also aesthetically. So what sort of aesthetic taste do you have? And I've seen that there are a lot of people who go and who are shopping on a very fancy, very expensive brands, and whatever they are wearing does not look good on their skin, right? And we've seen people who are wearing very simple clothes, but the way they carry themselves, it looks such a graceful, they have such a graceful personality on them. So now, Hamid Saab, now let's talk about some of the important things. I mean, in an organizational culture, obviously, and since you're going to KPK, and they are very particular about their own customs, their traditions, about their shalwar kameez, and they feel more comfortable there, right? So when you are grooming people, especially in particular ethnic areas, so are you also mindful of their own particular customs and traditions, or you would want them to follow a universal sort of a code in an organizational culture, which is usually or mostly, you know, suits or two-piece suits or three-piece suits? So how
I would say if you are working in a global environment, right, international environment, then I think you must you be more like kind of in tune with that, right? Because you're you're visible to the whole world and everything. Nothing wrong to stick with your traditions and everything. For example, let's say we talk about a certain segment of our society which wear shalwar. I'm talking about men, huge shalwar, like Balochi shalwar.
Yes.
Now, are you going to come into a meeting attending let's say if you happen to be a banker, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's going to work. But when you in your neighborhood, when you are in your areas, or if there's any there are sometimes that there are events that to promote ethnicity and all that is perfectly okay.
Yes.
So I would say that make sure that whatever you wear is compatible to your position and your profession, because that's the most important thing. Your main agenda is not to promote what your traditional dressing is. Actually, the whole thing is how you can sell your agenda, whatever that you are there to perform and all that. So I would say that effectiveness of a job is more important, and that should be considered when you're choosing dressing, as opposed to be I am from such area, and I'm gonna just show that I belong from that area. I think that's less important. More important is focus on what you need to do, and whatever you wear, it should get the job done, and that should be the focus.
Right, because that you exude certain confidence, you exude certain sort of authority and certain sort of trust the way you dress up. And this is why it is important to have a very thoughtful, I would say, a component of you when you are looking on choosing the dressing, because dressing always reflects the sort of personality you have. So thank you so much, Hamid Saab, for coming here, for telling us and grooming us about our personality development, about what sort of dresses exude what sort of an authority, and in particular cultures and in particular ethnicities, how dressing sense is so much important to their particular identity. We're going on a short break, and after we come back, we have a very interesting discussion lined up, so don't go anywhere. Good morning. Welcome back, and today we have been joined by someone who has the honor of visiting the entire country and has seen so many cultures. And I always say, and I always pride myself on this particular predicament, or I would say rather argument, that Pakistan is a land of extreme diversity. So you will find the diverse landscapes, you will find the diverse cultures, the diverse ethnicities, and one of the particularly important thing, I would say, water body and artery that connects the entire country is the Indus water. So this particular gentleman has the honor of traveling the entire Indus. He has been rafting in that. So we're going to talk about the Indus water of Pakistan. We are very glad that we have been joined by Wajahat Malik. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you. Good morning, Haja. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. So Wajahat, since you have this particular very adventurous spirit, you've been rafting throughout the Indus. So tell us about the Indus. So what sort of changes have you witnessed in the Indus, and how is generally the health of the Indus?
Yeah, well, Indus is, one of the longest rivers in the world.
Yes.
And sadly, it is also one of the most polluted rivers in the world.
Oh, yes.
In 2022, this team went into Indus to raft the whole of it.
Right.
I was leading that team, and we started from the line of control, from where Indus enters into Pakistan. And then we rafted all the way down to Katie Bandar, Karachi, all the way.
Right.
Like we actually did the whole river.
Right.
So we saw a lot. It was a learning experience.
Right.
It's a long river. It is very diverse in many ways. It
Right.
has peoples, cultures along its way. It has all kinds of fishes.
Right.
It has the Indus blind dolphin.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there is so much. I mean, I'll have to just go on and on. But yeah, it's a big river. It's a long river, and we rafted on it for 45 days, and we saw a lot. So you can
Right.
ask me specifically.
Right. So that was a very bold decision of yours to go and raft along the Indus, because there are particular areas where it's very turbulent and its waves are very particularly turbulent, and obviously, but you, the people who are very adventurous, who have this a particular rush for the adrenaline rush, they dive into it, right? So what are some of the fun moments that you would like to describe to us when we are talking about the Indus? Because Indus is one of the also very ancient water body, and it housed the Indus civilization here, and the civilization contributed so much to the entire humanity in terms of culture, art, and I think we are the ancestors of that, and I would say, sorry, predecessors of that, and obviously those cultures are still imbibed in us, and they are exhibiting in different forms like the pottery and whatnot. So what are some of the fun moments that you experience in that particular adventures of yours in the rafting?
Well, Haja, that was a long-winded question. You lost me there.
Okay.
There were a lot of fun moments, and there was a lot of adventure. Let me tell you about the whitewater raft, whitewater bit, because in the north the river is quite wild. I mean, when it enters into Pakistan, there are sections where it is very, very dangerous, and there are a lot of rapids.
Right.
Which are, some of them are negotiable, some of them are really, really dangerous. The three of us who were the core members of the expedition, myself, Farman, Ahmed and Faisal, honestly, we had never rafted before. So we didn't have any whitewater rafting experience.
Right.
And then here we were tackling one of the wildest rivers in the world.
Right.
So in the northern section, there were three other guys with us who had a bit of rafting experience.
Okay. Okay.
In the whitewater.
Right.
It was Sanif Jamal, and then there was Sultan Kareem and Atif. They are from Hunza.
Right.
But their experience was like minimal. It wasn't like they were amazing whitewater rafters.
Right.
So the six of us, we negotiated a lot of rapids which were dangerous. There are fun moments, obviously, but after a while, it's not fun anymore, because then you're sort of battling for your life.
Right.
The water is very, very cold. So if you fall into the water, you have only 3 minutes to survive.
Oh my God.
Because it is so cold that the hypothermia sets in. So we made sure that we don't fall into the water, we don't capsize the boat, which is very hard. But we were lucky that in the very cold section, which is like from maybe Skardu to Hamzigond, from where we started, we got sprayed by a lot of water, but it was cold, but we didn't fall in.
Right.
But we had a major accident between Basham and Thakot, where actually we went to a very, very dangerous rapid unintentionally.
Right.
And people fell off into the river, and one of our members, Sarman, nearly died because he got sucked into the rapid in a hole.
Right.
It was just total mayhem.
Right.
So it was very, very thrilling, dangerous, but we kept at it.
Right. And what inspired you to commit to the rafting? Because you said that you have never rafted before, right? So, I mean, there are so many other adventure sports. Why particularly rafting? And why Indus particularly?
I don't know. I mean, people who know me know that I'm into a lot of adventure sports.
Okay.
I fly paragliders, I climb, I trek, so whitewater rafting was new for me, and it was
Why
not.
Why is it called whitewater? Is there any particular?
Because when you, from Tarbela all the way to Karachi, it's not white water. It's actually brown, murky water, shallow water, where we had to drag the rafts because there's hardly any water in the river at that particular time of the year.
Right.
But when I say white water, then if you've seen Indus or any other river, which is like, bubbling and going over boulders, the water is white because, it has to it's descending, the gradient is steep, so the water is going over the boulders
Right.
And it makes holes, and I mean there's a lot of terminology that I don't want to go into,
Right.
but it is white water because it's going up and down, and there's
Right.
waves, and the
Right.
water is spraying all over the place.
Right.
That's why it's called white water.
Right.
So the portion from Hamzi-Gond, from where we started all the way to Tarbela, was white water because that's where the river is turbulent and wild and going over the boulders, and it is the gradient is steep.
Right, right. So Wajahat, I'm pretty sure, I mean, when you were doing your adventure, and it's a very bold decision because obviously there is a risk of death is involved in that. But I'm pretty sure Pakistan is a landscape, and there are so many storytellers there, and I'm pretty sure that across the way, when you encounter the indigenous communities, you might have encountered a lot of storytellers, and they have their particular stories to tell about their own area. So when it comes to Indus, would you mind sharing if you had any experience of listening to them?
Yeah, I mean along the Indus, I mean, I think traversed about 22 to 2300 kilometers of the Indus,
Right.
out of 2700,
Oh, that's
lengths
wonderful.
in Pakistan. So we met a lot of people. In the northern part, they were the Jalawans, the
Okay.
gypsy people who pan gold for a living along the banks
Oh.
of the Indus.
Oh, that's
They are
wonderful.
a very interesting lot, and
Okay.
people don't know much about them.
Right.
Very poor folk who live by the side of the
Hmm.
Indus in tattered tents, and with their ancient tools they pan
Okay,
gold.
okay.
So while we were on the river, we would stop, and they would feed us lassi and milk, and they
Right.
were very hospitable, and then we would film them
Okay, that's
panning
wonderful.
gold and everything. So they had amazing stories about the river.
Okay.
When further down in the southern part, they were Mohanas, who are the fisher folks
Okay.
who live on their boats. Actually, they
Right.
have the houseboats. They have stories to tell about fish, and they have stories to tell about when the river flooded and this happened and that happened.
Right.
And then obviously you have the whole Indus Valley civilization,
True,
and a lot of tales and legends, and everything took birth along the banks of the Indus. So I mean, there's a lot.
I mean, obviously, and I think we need so much time to discuss about it because there's such a rich diversity and the tapestry of that entire Indus civilization. But now let's delve into particularly one important aspect of the exploring any civilization or any particular area, that is the culinary history, right? So when you were rafting, so what sort of culinary experiences did you had, and did you find any changes as you came down from the north till the south? What sort of changes did you experience in the culinary taste of the Indus Valley civilization?
Well, I mean, if we were the river is in Baltistan, in its extreme northern part.
Yes, yes.
So there was the Balti cuisine.
Okay.
Obviously,
How was it?
I mean, Balti cuisine as such is not like anything I would say would be known to a lot of people, because they eat a lot of, how should I put it? Okay. I mean, Balti cuisine is, I don't know, honestly.
Is it spicy?
No, it's not spicy. Is
it oily?
It's a lot of butter,
Okay.
a lot of bread,
Okay.
a lot of, I forget that.
And I think that would be more adaptable to the climatic patterns there, because it's very cold out there. So the food that they're consuming might be giving them more
So
energy.
there's like a
more
lot of
warmth,
meat.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like
High
very
calorie meat,
high
right?
calorie, like it's very, the food is very fat oriented.
Right, right.
Okay, now further down you come, and then throughout the mountains you have pretty much the same cuisine.
Okay, okay.
But then along the banks, along the Karakoram highway,
Which
when
was
the
your
Indus is
favorite
flowing.
in that particular region?
What was my favorite? I don't know. Honestly, it's very hard to say
Okay.
favorites. But then obviously there are changes, along the Indus, like every 50-30 kilometer, the
right.
dialect changes, the faces of the
Right.
people change, the season changes,
True.
the languages change. I mean, the
True.
change is very
True.
constant along the Indus,
True, true,
because
true.
it's a very long river.
Of course.
But in terms of cuisine, when we entered Hazara region or Torgha district, obviously the cuisine is more in terms of saag, roti,
Right,
that
right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
And then further south you go, obviously you enter Punjab.
Right.
Before Punjab, there's Suba Sarhad, where the
Right.
Indus flows through the
KPK part, yes.
I don't like the word KPK anyway. I still call it Suba Sarhad. So anyway, so there you have obviously different cuisine. In Punjab, definitely you have different. And when
Right.
you enter Sindh, and then obviously there's a lot of fish
Right.
oriented dishes
Right.
when you are in the southern part of Punjab and Sindh.
Right, right. And one last advice before we wrap up this segment. So if someone wants to follow your footsteps, and if someone has this very adventurous sort of a spirit, and that person wants to experience the adrenaline rush, what are some of the advices that you would want to dole out to that particular person, especially if he wants to, experience the diversity of the Indus River?
I don't know. It's very hard to say. I think they have to go. I wouldn't say they should go raft in the Indus. I mean, if they want to, they can do it.
Right.
At their own
But I
risk.
think the
But-
most important aspect is that you need to have that spirit of adventurism, and I think that would take you to a lot of places, to a lot of spaces, because Pakistan has to offer a very rich diversity and very rich tapestry of different cultures, cuisines and landscapes and whatnot. But thank you so much, Wajahat Saab, for coming here, for having this wonderful conversation where we explored the Indus River, we explored different identities associated with that, how the past identities of our ancestors are still imbibed in us as a nation and in us as a people of different ethnicities, of diverse languages, of diverse, what do you call it, population. But that was all. Thank you so much. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning.